So long term, I don't have an answer. Short term, I also don't have an answer. But what my point was is that I do have the answer for right now and how I'm feeling right now, and what I can contribute in a small space of time, which I'm excited about. I'm looking forward to, and I felt like I've made some really lovely connections with the boys and the group in general, and I'm excited about growing that potential and that opportunity, and that if that leads with wisdom to other potential engagements, then that will be considered at the time. Right now, though, we have a World Cup to win. And right now we have the first game of the tournament to also win. So my heart will be focused on that, not the future. If I can make one comment, though, about the broader context of the game, and that is that no matter how I'm involved in the game, I feel incredibly blessed to have had the opportunities to see the game from all levels, either as an administrator, as a coach, as a player, as a father, to two boys who love the game, as a brother and as a son. So it's a complete cycle of life that's just given me so much joy and pleasure, and I'm so excited, whether I've got a mic in my hand, commentating on, various tournaments across the world, which I've done post my cricketing career. To be able to narrate our great game is one of the great privileges and pleasures and opportunities that I get daily, even in spite of retiring fully since 2011. So I do feel incredibly humbled and incredibly blessed. But the future, I have no idea. and anyone who tells you that they know their future is not telling the truth, because let's face it, who really does know?
Thank you. How you see the role of Babar Azam and Shaheen Afridi in this World
Cup? Key roles. We saw last night, Shaheen Afridi bowled the penultimate over in T20 cricket. He bowled the 19th over, and he got hit for 2 fours. One was a streaky 4. It was a slog shot that got an inside edge and beat Rizwan. And I think it went for 8 or 9 over, but it was a very, very strong performance. So that 19th over in T20 cricket and the 20th over is such a key part of the bowling unit. And Bubba obviously, has his own role to play, not only in terms of leadership, because as you've seen through the IPL, the 2 dominant captains here in the UAE, MS Dhoni, World Cup winner, and Owen Morgan, World Cup winner, even though their individual performances weren't as good as what they have previously done within their own statistical record, but the way that they led their troops and conducted themselves is an important part of the UAE, because, as I mentioned, it's not one side's not necessarily going to run away with it here. It's a real dogfight. The conditions and the margins for errors are very little, and so good leadership is going to be key. And I think Bubba has that commands that presence, and he commands that role, and he needs to fulfill that role. On a batting sense as well, he I think is the premium player. He will be targeted. He will also be the person that everyone is wanting to as Christopher Gale says, put in his pocket. And so, yes, there's going to be additional pressure on him, both as a captain and also as a batsman. But I sense that the way that he goes about it is going to be spot on.
Matthew, don't you think that power hitting is an overhyped term when it comes to slow pitches like UAE?
Yes, I do. If you were to take the average strike rate across the UAE, most sides would be very similar in that way. Most sides start relatively conservatively with the bat and build through to that sixth over, trying not to have 3-4 wickets down, trying to minimise the damage to the batting assets. Power hitting, though, is also an important element of T20 cricket. If you have a look at the way, for example, Narayan, who's not even picked for the West Indies, which seems ridiculous, but he can make impact, down at 16, the way that Hassan Ali can do the same. He strikes the ball differently to people with great power, and it's an extremely important role that you have those dynamic hitters that can come through between the 15th and the 20th over and do damage, like a Narayan can, like a Kyron Pollard can, like a Hayden can, for example, who's got power and energy through their hands that are an important asset to this game. So underrated is probably too strong a word, but certainly used with wisdom and combined with the opportunity that the game provides. Power hitting and power hitters are a key asset to any side, and every side has one or two. Australia has Maxwell. India has Hardik Pandya. South Africa has the boy that played last night, great power hitter. They all have that strong presence in a power hitting asset, but batsmanship still wins. It's still average play and average scores and targets need to be set accordingly.
Last two questions, Abbas Raza and Abu Bakr.
Hello, Hayden.
Hi, Abbas.
My question is, if there is an opportunity to play Fakhar Zaman at the top of the order and utilize his present form,
Is there an opportunity?
can we utilize Fakhar Zaman at the top of the order as an opener?
Oh, look, clearly I will have inputs into through coach as to how I sense the game, but that's a selection issue really. And the answer to your question is yes. Fakhar can play anywhere in those top four positions because he commands that performance. I think he's played, in the 2 games that he's played here in the UAE, he has performed very solid. His strike rate for his 40 in the first game was 180. Last night it was where typically it's 130 odd. Last night it was also above 160. He's playing very nicely, but he's also playing smart as well. I quite like him inside that as that number 3, that sheet anchor role, because of his way that he's got this great ability to be able to assess the conditions quite quickly, but then he can advance the game based on that partnership with Rizwan and Bubba. So personally, I like him at number 3.
Thank you. Abu Bakr, last question, please.
Hello, Hayden. We all that you have a short assignment with Pakistan team, but what do you think? What one thing you gonna put in the Pakistani player for this cup?
I'd like a World Cup. That'd be one thing. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? I think calmness is maybe something that, and maybe you have your own impressions on that as well. Like as a player, you would have seen the way that I went about playing the game, but I think just generally a sense of calmness and of control and of remaining very present in play. Because World Cups are, they're such a challenging thing, and playing multiple World Cups, it's been such an important part of, you know, my life. And one of the things that I've learned is that for whatever reason, you're always under pressure. So you don't need to create, you know, pressure environments additional to what the game demands. So it will be just to remain calm. I think that'll be the one thing.